Today is Tuesday, June 3rd, and this is the Wake Up Call from WUSF. I'm Sky LeBron. Today you'll hear about how one small beach town in southwest Florida is recovering years after a hurricane blasted the area and the lessons we can take from it. Plus, a couple options if you're looking for something to do for the cheap tonight. But first, let's hit the news headlines. The Cross Bay Ferry is coming back with a little help from Hillsborough County's Transportation Authority. HART is sending a $5 million grant it's had for years to Pinellas County to bring the Cross Bay Ferry back. Federal officials still have to approve that deal, but if it is approved, that means by the end of the year, you could have the wind blowing in your hair while you're crossing the bay on the ferry, unless you're bald. No shame in that. It's taken almost a decade, but St. Petersburg has finally resolved a lawsuit over sewage releasing into Tampa Bay. The Suncoast waterkeeper filed the suit after 1 billion gallons of sewage were released by St. Pete in 2016, with a lot of it going in local waterways. The city has been making improvements for years to its wastewater system since, and now a judge has ruled the city has met those needed requirements. Justin Bloom with Suncoast Waterkeeper says he's happy with the city's progress.
It's not sexy to raise sewage rates and to cut ribbons at sewage treatment plants and lift stations. And throughout Florida and the country, we've seen a failure to adequately maintain that type of environmental infrastructure.
But Bloom says more work is needed after St. Pete shut down 2 wastewater plants during the hurricanes last year. Governor Ron DeSantis signed 2 bills on Monday focused on squatters on business and hotel properties. It makes it easier to remove people camping out at those places. One of the bills had a very different focus as well. It requires that restaurants make it clear when they add automatic tips and fees. That includes when you're ordering online, so you won't be shocked with the price when you're getting DoorDash at 2 o'clock in the morning. And to round it off, Amir Abdur-Rahim is one of the 5 new inductees to the University of South Florida's Athletic Hall of Fame. The men's basketball coach led the Bulls to a record 25 wins in his lone season before dying last October at the age of 43. He'll join Jim Leavitt, the Bulls' first head football coach, and 3 former Bulls players for different sports. So this is probably like the 47th time you've heard this if you're a Floridian, but we're now officially in the 2025 hurricane season, which is crazy because so many people across the Tampa Bay region and the state are still recovering and rebuilding their properties after these last couple hurricane seasons. So what can people here learn from residents who are impacted from storms like Ian, Helene, and Milton so they can hopefully fare a bit better? WUSF's Jessica Mazzaros posed that question to residents in Fort Myers Beach, which was battered by Ian in 2022. I have Jessica here with me now. Jess, why should this resonate outside of that area of Fort Myers Beach, which is a pretty small town?
Yeah, it definitely is a small town. But what we can learn from their experience was Ian was a direct hit. In a lot of ways, it was a worst case scenario. Ian came in full force, battering on the small town for hours. I think based on where they are with construction and rebuilding will really tell us what it takes. Any beach town, anyone living along the coast, anyone getting a direct hit, what it takes to survive and to rebuild.
What were residents saying to you when you were talking to them?
So Fort Myers Beach Councilman Scott Safford told me that initially they thought it would be 3 to 5 years to recover, but it's looking more like 10 to 12 years. He shared with me that they don't have everyday conveniences still, things that you'd expect, like a dog groomer, no doctor, no chiropractor, and they just had their first bank open.
The towns need to look, especially in the Tampa area, of how do you get these small businesses back and open as quickly as possible.
That's interesting because a lot of the time, small businesses are the backbone of small communities.
They really are, especially for places like in the St. Petersburg area. And one person I spoke to from Fort Myers Beach, she told me that when she drives through Pinellas County, she's kind of pointing at different buildings and is like, oh, that wouldn't survive Ian. That wouldn't have survived Ian. So I think it's really important that right now, as we start to prepare for hurricane season, just evaluating what needs to be done to elevate our structures, to make sure that we're safe and that our buildings can withstand a strong storm like Ian.
That's Jessica Mazzaros. If you want to read more from her story, her feature on Fort Myers Beach, you can at WUSF.org. If you're looking for something fun to do tonight that won't hurt that bank account, I got you covered. Twist Vapor Cafe on Bruceby Downs in Tampa has board game night on Tuesdays, where you can grab a drink, relax, and lose a friendship over a game of Connect 4. Or if you're looking for something a bit more involved, Unity Cava and Dunedin hosts Dungeons & Dragons nights on Tuesdays. It's open for beginners or longtime players. I always say this, but if you're new to an area, looking to make some friends, D&D is such a good way to do that. How can you not be friends after you and your elf wizard companion survive a volcanic eruption and fight off 20 skeletons with maces? And, of course, the Rays are back in action at Steinbrenner Field tonight to take on the Texas Rangers. The Rays are hot lately, and I'm not talking about them playing outdoors. They've won 9 of their last 12 games. But that's today's wake-up call from WUSF. I'm Sky LeBron. Hope your Tuesday is a terrific one. Back with you tomorrow. Check out Wednesday's wake-up call. It'll be there for you at 7 o'clock in the morning.